sticks in the corner. Hey, how you doing? I'm Joe Bodnar of Bodnars. I've been doing this for almost 30 years. I can't believe it. Hey, welcome to the podcast. I'm Joe Bodnar of Bodnars Auctions, and with me is my lovely wife.
Hi, I'm Maureen.
Good to see you.
Good to see me. You live with me.
Yes, I do live with you, but hey, what can I say? We're here today to talk about auctions and bring the auction world to the world. Talk about all kinds of great things that are happening. What a day we had today, huh?
Oh, God.
You talk about transitions. Today was another transition day, correct?
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah, we ripped the whole place apart.
Our whole building is ripped apart right now, if you can believe that. This is exactly what happened 4 years ago during the pandemic.
Yeah.
We ripped the building apart and started anew, and I feel like we're doing that again today, right?
Yeah, we are. It's been 4 years since we've done an overhaul. It's time.
Yeah, it's been 4 years since we kind of did a live auction, too.
Yeah, well, I'm good with that.
Unbelievable. Actually, 30 years ago, I started with live auctions, and we transitioned during the pandemic, but I really got into antiques and auctions and collectibles as a young kid. I don't know if you know this about me. I mean, you know about everything about me. But I'm just saying,
Again, we lived together.
Yes, we lived together. As an 8-year-old, I bought and sold some Star Wars items.
I think I knew that about you. You used to run garage sales.
Yes, I did.
As a kid, outside your house.
Yeah, at 8 years old, I sold off all my original Star Wars, and I got like $100 for it, and I thought I was rich. And now I think those same Star Wars figures are worth about $5,000.
Yeah, what a mistake. Usually it's my parents sold my comic book collection. My mom sold it. Now you sold yourself short.
I guess I did. I guess you're absolutely right. My goodness. But my goodness, that got me. And my father always talks about, I used to walk around with a little red wagon and collect fireworks that were shot off after the 4th of July. Did I ever tell you that story?
No.
Yeah.
What's the point of that?
So technically, I guess when I was like 6, 7, and 8, I actually went around and with a little red wagon and would collect all the fireworks that were shot off, and I would save them and put them off to the side. I guess I just thought it was cool.
So you were a hoarder at 8 years old.
I guess I was. I guess my hoarding started at 8. I don't know.
Hoarder now.
I am not a hoarder. I just like to collect. I don't know.
And the peanut gallery over there is nodding in agreement.
I guess so. But all I can say is that I just love stuff. I love buying. Is that considered a hoarding situation?
Yeah.
I don't know. Then I guess I am a hoarder.
You're a hoarder.
But but I'm in denial.
Well, you are, but no one else in your life is in denial about it.
I guess you're right. I guess you're right. How did you come across? How did you become hanging out with auction? Oh, with me? Oh, there you go. Yeah, how did you come hanging out with me? I don't know.
How did this happen?
How did this happen?
Actually, my very first, the first auctions I went to were at the Metler House. The charity auction that you used to
I was a part of. That's true.
You were the auctioneer for the charity auctions. And then when I worked over on Rutgers at the Ag Museum, we did a plant auction every year,
right?
Which was a lot of fun. See, me, plants, I'm there. Can we do a plant auction? Let's do a plant auction.
I remember when we used to sell plants back at the Ukrainian Center.
Did.
Yeah, no, back when we had a live, we remember somebody would come from Maryland and drop off like 200 plants, and that load would smoke. It would bring like $8,000, $9,000 for some plants out in the yard. That was great.
Do that again.
I would love to do that again.
Your first live auction.
Yes.
We can do a live auction. But yeah, so I
remember you. You were beautiful.
Oh,
I think I was the first Metler House auction I did. I was 19, I think. And I started auctioneering when I was 18, 19. I better not say that because that means you were like 13. Never mind.
I was 12.
Okay, I was not eyeing you up at the first sale. However, I do remember at the Metler House auctions later in life. Much later in life. It's not like you're much younger than me. You're like 6 years younger than me. So we let's adapt that to maybe when I was 26.
I was going to say, now.
I don't know. Anyway, but I do recall the first Metler House auction I ran. As a matter of fact, I was working for, I didn't even have my own auction yet, and I was working for Ed Salt's. It was A&E auction back in the day. And when I was running the auctions there, or helping him out, he actually taught me how to auctioneer, and I started auctioneering and having fun. And I was a nervous wreck, obviously, like for this first podcast, I'm a nervous wreck.
Clearly.
At any rate, I do recall doing the first Metler House auction. That's how I knew how many.
On the lawn.
It was on the lawn in Piscataway. The Metler House was a an old house, basically.
Yeah, it's a historical house museum. Yeah.
Correct. I had an antique store in the basement.
You did?
There. And I ran a store there for about 6 months or a year or what have you, and then got in an argument with the guy who was he was there, and he said, "Well, I'm leaving." He gave me an ultimatum. He said he got in an argument with the auctioneer we were both working for, and he quit. And he came to me and said, "You either quit this auction or leave the store." And I said, "Okay, I'll be right back." And I grabbed my truck and packed it all up, and I left the store. And that was the end. That was the end of that. And his mom made him come and apologize to me for it. I'll never forget it. And I was like, "Well, listen, man, he gave me an ultimatum. I don't work well with ultimatums, so it ain't gonna work good for that." So you got involved with auctions, I guess. God, so basically you got involved with me auctioneering.
So we used to do a yearly auction over at the Ag Museum,
Right.
the plant auction, and I really liked it. And then my grandmother had passed away, and I had been managing in a restaurant for a long time, and just the idea of it going back to it didn't sound good. And a mutual friend said, "Give Joe a call. He's always looking for new people." And I called you up, and you said, "Hey, I got an auction next week." You said you come in and work 9 to about 7, and I was there from about 9 a.m. till 2 a.m. Any of you people listening or that work for Joe, when he says you're going to finish at one time, add about 6 hours to that.
Yes.
When it's a live auction. And that was it.
This is just an endurance. I like to push people to see how far they will go. But that's not even true. No, everybody can be pushed to something. Absolutely, because I truly believe you could do 20 hours, 30 hours. It can be accomplished. Anything is possible. That's what I believe.
Well, that's how things started when we first got together.
Yes,
it's not how they are now.
Oh no, we're on a much more set schedule.
Yeah.
Well, I think the auction starting from the beginning up until today was just a constant. It was a roller coaster going uphill and tick 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 tick, and then coming down, and up and down, and it was never ending. Maybe it was more like the roundup where you're spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning.
Yeah, no. Well, that feels more like now. We're on the hamster wheel.
Well, we're on a hamster wheel, but I think things have changed so much since the pandemic. I mean, you have to keep in mind for those listeners out there, we used to run a live event, a live auction that had 5 auction rings going all day long, starting at 8:00 in the morning, running till 1, 2 in the morning. We sold 3,000 items in a day, all antiques and collectibles and personal property, and it was intense. But that starts off, if you go back to my good old days, I started off at the Elks Club in East Brunswick, and I know you weren't around for that, but we would sell 300 lots in a night, and it was done in 3 hours. And like every sale grew a little more and a little more and a little more. And then we sold 400 and 500. And I know why you're laughing, because so 500
here.
and 600 and 1,000 lots and 2,000, get about 3,000 and now 3,500 lots. And then before you know, I had all these employees, 5 auction rings, 24-hour day, 80-hour week, pandemic hits.
Yeah.
Hit the brakes, and it was a reset, and we started all over again.
No, once the pandemic hit, this lovely set you see behind us is actually our home, and we emptied out the furniture out of our home.
That's correct.
Put up tables.
Yep.
And ran off of from upstairs in our office.
That's very true.
We auctioned.
This became the showroom.
It was
tables to tables in here, stacked around the room, and we had merchandise in here, and we cataloged from the house. That is very true.
Once it started eking past,
it did eke to the living room.
Once it started infringing on my ability to eat dinner,
yes.
I said that's it.
Well, you could still cook around your things. I mean, we see that with a lot of hoarders. See, I'm not a true hoarder like you're saying, because most hoarders, you can't use the bathroom or the kitchen. Usually they have shit in the kitchen sink too, and you can't even wash your hands.
We were pretty close to that during the pandemic.
No.
We were pretty close to that during the pandemic. So we took what was our storage.
Correct.
And we prettied it up. We emptied it out of all the items, cleaned it out, prettied it up, made it look good. And we've been there ever since. And now we're transitioning again, because we are running out of room again, because somebody keeps adding more and more items.
Well, I'm just laughing because I was saying how it began in the beginning with 200 lots, and I creeped up. Well, I'm kind of doing the same thing. So I guess an old pattern, is that what it is?
Old habits die hard.
I don't know. I know. I'm trying to relive the glory days, I guess. I don't want to go back to a live sale, though. There's a part of me that wants to go back live, and there's a part of me that wants to stay the way we are. But growth is always good.
Yeah, no, things work the way they are. You know, things are working now. We do them online. Joe's the face. He does the acquisition. He auctions everything off, and I do everything else. No, I'm kidding.
You can auctioneer.
I'm the wizard. No.
Yeah, come on. I can see you auctioneering, getting up there, taking the spotlight. I'll gladly go behind the computer and clerk. Yeah, right. No, I don't want to do that. No, there's no question to that.
No, if you hear anything about through email from us or anything after the sale or the invoicing, that's all coming from me. You think you're talking to him, you're not. You're talking to me.
See, yeah, but then I get the aftermath of that.
Yeah, well, heavy is the head that wears the crown, my friend.
I guess so, but that's okay. But yes, no, I think since the transition, and I think like with one of these things I'd like to do with the podcast is really get people out there to understand how auctions work and how you can obtain stuff at auctions and have a good time at auction. I know there's sometimes stigmas out there about auctions, like
that things are broken or there's something wrong with them or it's
correct.
No, it's not. It's just another avenue to liquidate assets, whatever your case is. You're moving, correct. You're downsizing, you need the money, or a family member passed away, whatever it is, it's just another avenue to liquidate assets.
No, absolutely. And get top dollar for it. I mean, a lot of people think sometimes auction is a quick liquidation and it's going to bring nothing. And I think quite honestly, it's the total opposite. Sometimes when you put things through auction, it can bring double or triple as what it's worth because people get in bidding wars. I get in bidding wars all the time and, I don't know. I'm cheap, but I also overpay.
I got in bidding wars last night.
Exactly.
Someone else's auction.
So that can happen. Absolutely. So I think it's a great way to liquidate your assets in times of transition. And really, I mean, I think a benefit for us, which is true, is that we are working for others and working on commission and in so making a living. And that's one of my main goals is looking that we're helping others in a time of need, whether a lot of times this might be through divorce, it might be through a death, it's through a change, you're changing into retirement age or whatever the case may be. We're here to help you and make the most we possibly can for you. And I'm grateful that I'm grateful that we're able to make a living in doing so and helping people.
Yeah.
Even though a lot of people say, they can't stand it. They're not happy. No one's ever happy with the prices they get. Sometimes
That's not true.
I shouldn't say it. You're right. Pre-pandemic, there's a lot more unhappy customers versus now. Now there's a lot more happy customers. I don't disagree.
That's not true. There's a lot of people that I think would sing
their
our
gratitude.
praises.
Yes.
Another point of this podcast is to take away the stigma of auctions for people who haven't bid before.
Yes.
There is nothing to fear.
That is correct.
There's a lot of fear.
But fear itself.
But people are afraid.
Yeah,
They're afraid
I
of
agree.
auctions. They don't understand it. What are the rules? How do I do it? And a part of this is to say, come join us. I see you all out there at Goodwill. I see you all out there thrifting and doing your thing. Guess what? Those stores, and they're going to kill me to say this, they're the middleman. Cut out the middleman. Where do you think they're getting the items from? They're getting them from us. So,
I agree when it comes to collections and things of that nature. Auction is a much better way. Yeah. I mean, you got to do your research. We're talking on the thought process of Bodnar's auction, but you really need to look at other auction companies. I mean, if you just look at even the auction we were bidding at yesterday, or you were bidding at yesterday, they didn't really put in descriptions what was broken and what was not. You really had to look up photographs and see what was broken, what was not broken, and whatever.
Yeah, I looked through 430 something lots of photos. That was a lot.
And with us, we stand behind everything. That's something that I think we take pride in and lead the industry in as far as we guarantee what we sell. There's not many auction companies out there that will say they stand behind what they sell and really mean it. Everything they look at is sold as is, where is, you bought it, you own it, too bad. If you some find fault with it, well, screw you, And, I think that was more of the case when at an in-person sale, and we stuck to a more policy of, hey, you bought it, too bad, sold, go on. But even there, we were a little lenient sometimes on taking things back. But now it's really a whole different ballgame. We've almost turned ourselves into like a gallery where we stand behind what we sell. We give you a guarantee, and you can bid with confidence anywhere in the world and buy these things and be happy with it.
Yeah, and we're shipping all over the world now. I mean, when we first started online, it was a lot of our same regular bidders that used to come to the in-person sale.
Yes.
You know, and they would, we'd do a contactless pickup outside.
I remember you standing out there, Lysol. We'd be looking through the window, waving at people.
I would talk to customers through the window. Hey.
It was crazy.
It was crazy. But now we're shipping all over the world.
Well, what a transition. Think about that. And I just bring that up today because today we're almost in a transition because of what we're doing in the back. We were moving things around. We got 5 years of dust that was discovered today. That's a true treasure. We should box that up and sell it.
No.
No? No. I don't know. I can sell anything.
Garbage.
I don't know.
Goes in the garbage. But so everybody always asks this question.
Yes.
And so I'm going to ask it to you. What do you collect? Everybody asks this question.
Take a look behind you. I don't know. I thought look around. What do I collect? A good deal. Good deal. No, I like everything.
What's your area?
What's
your
my
favorite?
What's my favorite? Wow, man, I don't know. I definitely like Snoopy. There's no question about it. I like Swarovski crystals. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Ship paintings, you know that.
Don't I?
Yeah, and I really love that. I don't know. I think, trains were a big thing. I don't know. I collect everything. I think that's what my issue is, right? I guess I'm a hoarder. I guess you're proving you're part of my hoarding.
That was not the point of my question. But the fact that it worked out to my benefit.
Well, it did work out to your benefit. But I understand. A lot of people always ask me that. I used to always say I like collecting money. Because we would make money on people's stuff. I collect money, but obviously I've proven myself wrong because I collect things now, I guess.
You collect things.
Well, what I really like to collect, and you know this, I like to buy something from every big collection we've sold.
Yes.
And have one piece of history from each collection, because I could look around the room and go, yeah, that came from this estate. Yeah, that came from that estate. That
especially
came from
if it's
this
an old
collection.
customer.
I'm sorry?
Especially if it's
if it's an old customer. Absolutely. And that's the one thing about doing it now for 30 years. I've had customers of mine who bought from me and now have passed, and we've sold their collection, and sold some of their kids' collection. Now I'm starting to sound like my father, because my father, he's been, obviously a minister for 52 years. And he always talks about the people he baptized, the people he buried, and the generation. And he's right now doing 5th generation weddings and funerals and stuff like that.
Unfortunately, he's had to bury people that he's baptized.
This is very true. Absolutely.
And that's full circle. But you do collect a little bit of everything. I collect historical.
Yes. Yes, you do.
Well, 2 things. I like historical items.
Yes.
Anything, documents more specifically. Anything American history is also more of my favorite area, Civil War, Revolutionary War, but all kinds of historical documents. And there's a second thing I like to collect. Mm-hmm. People. That's true. People. Speaking of people.
Yes, speaking of people, I like to bring in our guest tonight. That was a good transit.
And I should preface that I like to collect people that have different areas of knowledge.
Well, that's very true. Different experience.
And that fit within our little fun family we've got going on here.
Just had to interrupt real quick and let you know our next regular scheduled auction is Thursday, January 2nd. Happy New Year. Bodnarsauction.com. Check it out. Back to the show.
Welcome back to the podcast. We are here with our 2 employees / family members, Danny and Erica.
What up?
What's good, bitches?
And I just kind of want to get, an idea of you guys, how you got started in the business, what areas are you interested in?
Employee of the month. That's what you guys are here today.
Yeah. Employee of the decade.
Erica's really the employee of the decade, yeah.
Erica,
I ain't that bad.
I think, Erica, I remember you came to the auction and you were a buyer.
Big time buyer.
You were a big time buyer at the sale buying Disney items.
Disney items, collectibles. I really loved Nintendo at that time and video games for my own personal collection. So I was scouring everywhere for all that stuff. I was also planning a wedding and I was purchasing a bunch of teacups. So when you guys had that really big tea sale from the closed down store or whatever.
You know what's amazing? I know we just found out recently about 30 days ago that I worked with your grandmother.
So yes,
Unbelievable.
It turns out that Joe worked with my grandmother. What was it then? Edwards
At Food Town when it was Mayfair Food Town. One of my first jobs.
worked with my grandmother. So a small world.
Gladys, man. It just shows it's such a small world and how people all come together. You know what I'm saying?
It's
your
wild.
grandmother was a wonderful
Because
person.
I'm
I always
connected.
remember her. Yeah, no, she was great.
I'm
Off your block, I like to say.
Right.
You know.
Oh, flower department. If you wanted flowers, Gladys was the woman.
But you
Mayfair
better come-
people.
Yeah, but you better come correct.
Yeah.
And it was
My
Mayfair
dad.
Food Town. And
It's because my dad also, he used to run Food Town he retired with them. I mean, literally ran it for so he could have ran into you at some point in
That's
life.
crazy,
He probably
too.
knew my
all
family too.
connected.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
So crazy.
I'm odd man out over
and you,
here.
but no, because
No, because we
No
worked in the
food.
same
Well,
restaurant
that's
and
true.
didn't even know it.
Erica and I worked in the same restaurant, Applebee's.
Oh God, I was so young.
were
Oh
so
my
young.
goodness.
Half price.
Yep.
apps.
And don't remember each
Price
other.
apps. Half price apps.
And we were definitely there around the same time
around the
because we
same
knew
time.
the same people.
I don't know if we were there at the same time or we just missed each other, but one day I happened to mention it and she was like, "Shut up, I work there too."
Yep. It was
Yeah.
so crazy.
it's just amazing how people's lives all intertwine, and when it's meant to be, it all rises up.
The universe works in crazy ways. It really, really does.
No, it really does.
You never know where your path is going to lead.
No, and I truly believe that, and I truly believe. I know we're talking about we collect people, but we do. I really feel
They're in the basement and buried and buried in the backyard.
But I really
And we're getting the look from behind the camera.
Well,
going, Could you
I
stop saying
truly
that,
believe.
please?
I truly believe that everyone. I've always felt this passion that you're all my family. All right, not
Yeah.
Not, family.
I need to correct
Dad?
my statement from before. Is that I love finding people with passion for their area of expertise.
That's true.
For what they're doing.
Yes.
And that will fit into this motley crew that we have. Because we are,
We're not normies.
Speak for yourselves. I am
no,
not a hoarder. I am not a hoarder.
We strive for professional catalogs. We strive for professional auctions. Damn it.
I am not a hoarder. I swear to God, I am not a hoarder. But I agree. We're always striving. We're always striving to find people that are in the business.
Yes.
You know, because if you look at everyone who works for us, and I feel like we all work together, but I know we give a paycheck and whatever. But Disney,
Yes.
that's what you specialize in.
That's it.
That's what you love.
That's my life.
Besides newer collectibles, and I think we've gotten you into looking at other stuff as
Other
well.
areas.
Right.
Oh, I've become so much. My brain has exploded with knowledge since I started this.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
And
unbelievable.
Danny's too, with a huge jewelry background.
Jewelry
and,
background and textiles.
And textiles.
Yeah, antique and vintage textiles
Right,
as well.
right,
Love
right.
it.
and
Love
going
it.
to get his certification.
I will be going to GIA,
GIA.
in January.
All right, yes.
To become a graduate gemologist
All right.
specializing in diamonds and fine colored stones.
A big treasure hunt.
Yeah, big treasure hunts. But I think that's the beauty of working in the auction industry. Being someone who's fairly green still myself, I think you're always coming across the most fascinating pieces. Through that process, you're inevitably meeting insanely interesting people.
Yes.
To say the very least.
Yeah.
And it really, as somebody who, for anyone who, has an expertise in a certain field, I love it because it really helps things branch out.
Right.
You end up learning so much more. And granted, it is impossible to know everything about everything.
Right.
But
Nobody
there's
can
so
know
many
that.
niche markets. There's so many
Yes.
cool little things that you just never expected to see, or things that you'll discover. And I don't know,
Nobody
it's
knows
always
everything.
kind of a treasure trove, if you will. You
It
never know
is.
what you're going to see when you
nev-
come into work. You know?
Every day is something different, but I love seeing people with a passion for something. You know what I mean? I'm not just hiring someone to sit in a cubicle and blah, 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 someone who really enjoys what it is they're looking at,
Right.
And not all of us can have that at the same time.
True.
I have been begging for a historical sale for years now. If anybody's listening,
Yes.
but doing jewelry, Disney, doing, toys. I have learned to love the toy sales. Love the toy sales.
Well, the pop culture part
Yeah.
is fun for everybody. I think it brings you back to your memories of a child, brings you back. You know, we were singing the Muppet song the other day. You know what I'm saying?
Mana.
And
Phenomena.
Do.
Mana. Exactly. Every day is like a remembrance of your childhood and what brings smiles to your face. You know, and I think that's really the key. And I agree. Selling the last year and a half, almost 2 years plus, we've been selling one single person's toy collection right now, and we're finally down to
For the last bits.
the last bit.
Truck guy?
2 years.
The truck guy.
No, not the truck guy. This was the stuff. This gentleman, he was a
freshly
younger
packed
gentleman.
stuff?
Yes.
That
This
was still
was
in like factory pack.
Everything factory packed, brand
Yeah.
new. Star Wars and Indiana Jones and
Yeah, he was a local guy.
the local guy right down the road here.
wow.
He wanted
Yes.
to open up a nostalgic toy store when he retired.
Yep.
And unfortunately,
The market did not agree.
well, no, unfortunately, he didn't make it.
Oh.
And the family had
He
to
passed.
sell off.
But hey, that
But he
happened. That's
had
part
like
of this business.
4 storage units and a half a house full.
Okay, and there's the true hoarder because the bathroom, the shower was full of sideshow Star Wars figures. I'm not the hoarder. He was. See, I'm striving to that. Can you imagine if I filled the bathtub up with Star Wars action figures? Come on.
No, you would.
That would be painful.
One of us would move out.
You have some Disney in your bathroom.
No, I actually don't.
No.
How about you, sir? You have something in your bathroom.
Do you have diamonds? Do you bathe in diamonds?
Shit, if I
darling?
collected diamonds, damn, that would be great. I got a bathtub of diamonds.
Yeah, I
When
wouldn't
I'm not being
complain.
bathed in, when I'm not being bathed in, buttermilk with rose petals and then perfuming myself with exotic oils.
Right.
No, I do not have anything in my bathroom.
But yes, we are winding down that collection. Man, I'll tell you what too. I don't know how much that grossed now, but I would have to say it's probably close to $500,000 he probably did.
Has to be.
Has to
for
be.
sure.
And I have to say, I know they don't sell super well.
And they don't compare. Well, they do,
no,
but
no.
compared to what? Go
What
ahead,
I'm saying
sorry.
is, one of the last big parts of the collection
I
we
see
have
what you're saying.
left,
Yes.
the Funko Pops.
Funko
I know
Pops.
they don't. They're not the hottest thing on the market anymore.
But there are a few that are fairly rare.
And he has some good ones. Do you remember that?
Yeah, no,
that
he has
second
some
pickup.
Yeah, he has some originals which still do hold value, some
Yeah.
grails, so that's good.
Yeah, but
you know.
they're just so fun.
So
Yeah.
They're cute.
when we
I have a
talk about pops, literally, there's enough pops to fill this room floor
for
to
sure.
ceiling. I
Yeah.
mean, listen, we say
Wall
he
to
has a
wall,
collection
floor
of
to
pops.
ceiling.
He has
Thousands.
and they're all different. I mean, I shouldn't say that. We don't know what's there yet because we have not unpacked it.
I know a bit.
But there
Yeah, we
is
did that second pickup.
Yeah.
thousands of pops from the start to the end. That's the only way to explain it.
yes,
Wow.
true. Various sizes, various genres. There are some very, very early ones,
Yeah.
which makes it better.
Yeah.
because They got so mass produced. That's what happened to them. They
flooded their own market.
They flooded their own market.
Yeah.
They literally tanked themselves.
Didn't they bury some in Nevada or something?
What, like a time capsule? or
No, like you know how the ET with the Atari games, they killed the ET Atari
I don't
games.
think they need to bury any. There's going to be gazillions.
No,
of
but
them.
that's what I'm saying. Wasn't there like
They got
had,
rid of them,
They
is
got
what
they
he's
had so
saying.
many
yeah.
that didn't Funko actually go
I
out to the
thought,
desert
and
and like
just get rid of
dumped
them.
them? Yeah, they
Yeah.
burned them.
They burned them.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Speaking of, what's going to be
No,
worth money? I'll come back to Funko Pops, but this just reminded me. Did you see that Wicked, the doll? They had the wrong advertising on it, and it actually says that it takes you to Wicked the pornos.
Yeah, it takes you
And
to
it
a
takes
porn
you to
site.
Wicked.com
They actually Wicked
so
the movie.
I'm telling you all out there
Yeah.
right now. It's gonna be worth money. Pay attention.
If you
Go out and
bought
get it right
one-
now. If you bought one because they pulled them from the shelves,
They
that means it
pulled
was
them
only
before-
out there for
Just
a
like
day.
that pregnant Barbie doll.
Yeah, it's like pregnant Barbie doll. It's going to be worth money.
The day that it came out, Joe and I were like, let's go to the store.
We should have got them for the toy drive.
What?
No, because then we could have saved money off them. Can you imagine? Not like that. My God, see, you guys have
Surprise,
the wrong heads,
kids.
not me.
Surprise.
Hey, here
Mom
you
and
go,
Dad.
kids.
You might wanna
what
look
I'm
this
saying
up.
is, imagine if we bought 100 of them for the toy drive, and we got lucky, and now I could sell them off one at a time in the next 2 years.
I see his point.
I don't
because
understand what you
I
guys are
shop
talking
at
about.
Target.
Okay,
I shop the sales at
Gotta get while the getting's
Target.
good.
What the
For
heck?
this we do a toy drive every year. I shop the sales at Target. I see what he's saying. Had
Yes.
I purchased, I will purchase as many quantity as they'll let me on a certain item.
Correct.
So
A gross of items, if
So
you will.
you wish that you got them, didn't know about it. You weren't
Yes.
trying to give the little kids stuff.
I don't want
And then you're going to keep them like, yes, I'm rich in 20 years.
Woo.
Think about it.
fair.
I mean, if you think about it, I've sold Harry Potter. There was a wand
Yes.
that was like in the form of a dildo,
Yep.
and they pulled it off the market, and that sells for like $350, $400
Oh,
right
wow.
now because it was only in production for like a week before
You
they
never know.
recalled it.
There's something for everyone.
So that's the case. But back to the pops.
There we
Yes.
go.
The pops are wonderful. There's actually a great pop sale. Make sure you check that out. That's going to be up online for the end of January coming up. So that's coming up in the auction.
is it the end of January?
Yes. No.
No.
Yes. No. No, it's not. But it'll be
So.
sold. No, I think it actually.
March.
So it'll be in March. That's
in
correct.
March.
Pops will be in March, but the rest of his toy collection will be the second sale in January on January 16th.
Yeah,
which
there's
is
like G.I. Joes.
GI Joes.
Yep,
Yeah.
there's definitely military stuff in there.
G.I.
Joes
There's
in
a lot
there,
of
too.
like unique and interesting like things that didn't go with like the superheroes and whatever. So
Yeah.
we kind of pulled all that stuff. I believe
Yep.
there's some Lego sets. Like there's a lot of different
Yeah, it's kind
things.
of a good mishmash.
Yeah.
And Star Wars. There is Star
Oh
Wars.
yeah, and we have more Star Wars.
There's always Star Wars.
There's always-
There is
There's
always
always
Star
more
Wars.
Star
There
Wars.
always
Yeah.
is Star Wars, but there is definitely Star Wars in that sale as well.
Yeah.
So that's coming up. And I know we just came off of a big pickup in Brooklyn.
Oh yes.
Oh, I think that could be honestly a podcast by itself. It's just like honestly, no, like
save that for
the
next
Brooklyn Chronicles.
time.
Yes, but I just wanted to say Brooklyn was a coming up is like
Wow.
yeah, like wow is right.
Wow.
So it's nothing but the best. It's nothing
No,
but the
honestly,
best.
like
As she says.
as full as you can ever picture an area where you literally had to walk sideways.
Yep.
And it was full from floor to ceiling, going
Yeah.
straight back.
Yeah.
in
I
two
do have a
different
video.
I mean, it.
Oh, you
wild.
do?
From the first day that we were there.
Yeah, I have
Send
pictures
that
too.
to me.
And it was just a pan
So
of the
Oh, I
whole
basically-
need that
floor.
because I forgot to do
So
that.
basically,
like-
for your listeners out there, it literally imagine an antique store, 4,000 square feet, and you literally had 5 feet on one side, 5 feet on the other to get around.
That's
not
what
even.
it would.
Not
Not
even.
even. It was like honestly
Not
like,
even.
More like maybe 2 feet.
2 to 3 feet.
2 to 3 foot walkway
You could.
with incredible breakables all around you.
couldn't-
Things on top of things on top of
Things.
things.
You
Like
couldn't even use the bathroom because there was boxes in the bathroom.
the light didn't even work.
That's right. The light didn't even work.
It was
You're lucky to have
insane.
some toilet paper in
Yeah,
there.
and it took so long to clear. I feel initially because, guys, you need to picture the fact that like imagine like you know a general old school box kind of store. There's cabinets and things against the walls, but we couldn't even get to those because there was like 5 to 6 feet of stuff
Of
in
just
front of them.
tiers
Yeah,
of
tiers of
things.
cabinets.
We clear out one cabinet and then we move the cabinet and there would be another full cabinet behind it.
Yeah.
Remember that?
That was
Yeah.
crazy.
That's what I was like, oh, good, let's get this cabinet
The
out of the way.
poop water?
Moved it. We were like,
The poop
what?
water.
What?
It was nuts. But there was it literally.
Oh, the Facebook Live.
When I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, though, there's 8 to 10 sales. It's going to take us a half a year to sell.
It is.
And there's incredible stuff. I mean,
Really, there is some really great stuff.
there
in
is
that.
some really great stuff in that collection. There's tons of Victorian, tons of Victorian style and
Objet
Dresden and
d'art.
porcelain and nothing but the best. Nothing but the best, Joe. That's just a reference that
And I will say, as somebody who loves and collects and specializes in 19th century and Victorian decorative arts, there are some pieces that, somebody my age, we missed out on that market pretty much since the store was basically untouched for at least 50 years.
Yeah.
You're seeing things from a market that has been completely tapped already. And I will say, and I hate to use the term, but there are a few museum quality pieces there.
Yes, there is.
That are just so rare that are either already in collections or,
Yes.
things that will be coming from cold hands, not warm.
Right.
Yes.
And,
Down the road,
and what's
Yes.
interesting about that, she because she dealt with decorative arts and things of that nature, it's a mix of antiques and it's a mix of reproduction. But the reproductions that she has truly are now vintage because she was buying and selling reproductions 40, 50 years ago. So those 50-year reproductions are almost they're like half an antique. They're vintage.
They're halfway there.
It's
now.
unbelievable. It's not like it just came from China now. So it's stuff that you just can't get anymore. You know, it's stuff like that was.
Yeah, they're not remaking that.
No,
stuff
not
anymore.
remaking that stuff.
How
So,
many pieces of art do you think we got?
oh my God.
Plates, the
Like
art.
literally,
Oh my
how
God.
many pieces?
I think it was 450 in that back room
Yeah.
alone. So 500 pieces
Yeah.
of art.
Probably
At
500
least
pieces of
500
art.
pieces of
because you
art.
guys weren't there when we went through the
Through
back room.
No,
My
yeah,
God.
Well, I
And,
mean, I
and
saw
through
it.
the one side room, there was a door that opened next to the bathroom, and there was a whole nother room
And
of
a whole
art.
other room of art.
No,
yeah.
it's
There's another
Unbelievable.
room back there?
Yes.
Yeah, there was a whole
Yes.
nother room.
Yeah, there
I
were
had to
probably,
climb
like,
in
200
Yeah.
and
pieces
hand it
on the
out
wall.
to Joe and Jeffrey. Yeah,
Dude, it is so crazy.
it was.
Imagine.
quite the experience.
What a deal, man. It took 8 days to pick up. 8-day pickup. All right, that's a record for me. That's a record for us. 8 days to pick up one estate.
Like Hanukkah.
One day of
crazy
pure
nights.
traveling because of the stupid roads in Brooklyn and going back and forth.
And the hurdles we had to
And
jump. when we
everything
first got
else.
There. You know, we always had to.
It was unbelievable. So that was the gig, but it was quite interesting. But that's coming up all year. So if you're listening to this podcast and it's already been out there for 3 to 5 months, we're probably still selling
I
it.
will be bidding on some pieces.
Yeah.
I just need a piece of that collection to remember it by.
I just had a good question posed to me,
Yes.
and I don't know. I'm stumped. What's something that the next generation or the younger generations should be looking out for that may increase in value?
Wow. Good question. So
That's Erica. That's an Erica question.
well,
right
I think if we could all predict that,
there. Future antiques.
we would all be rich. I mean, who thought 30 years ago that I would be selling Commodore 64s and not smartphone, but a flip phone from the 1980s now, and people are into it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I mean,
You can't predict it.
No, you can't.
Because it's going to be something so obscure that was like a fad that probably didn't last long. Who knows what's going on out there? But and now everybody's knowing to buy things to not open it. So back in the day, in the 70s and the 60s, you're ripping these things open.
Yeah.
You don't know any better.
Yep.
You're not keeping it to collect it. You're opening it to play with it,
be
to get
used,
it dirty, to you. Now people are like, oh, that's going to be worth money. And in reality,
It's not. Well, that's
probably not, because everybody's doing what you're doing. So it's going to be something obscure.
I just had this conversation with Tracy today. We were talking, and I said, if it was meant to be played with, and it's still mint on card or mint in box,
Yep.
that's where your money is.
That is where the
if
money
it was
is.
meant to be collected,
Yep.
forget it.
I
Forget it.
agree with
It's
that.
worthless.
because it was a calculated collection.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
Yeah, I think calculated collections are the issue. I don't disagree with
and
you.
in
on that.
pop culture, it's so hard too, because you never know what's going to become. So a movie could come out and it bombs in the box office,
Right.
But then it becomes a cult classic.
Yep.
And so 20 years from
And maybe
never
they
know.
didn't
You
make a
never
lot
know.
of those things because it fizzled out. So there's very limited production. That's where you're going to have the obscurities, but nobody's going to be able to predict that.
No, I don't think so. And I think too, another concept is going to be furniture. If you look at the furniture market or the antique furniture market, you think over the course of the last 15, 20 years, everybody went to shabby chic and painted up and paint decorated this and that, which means with a lot of people that done that,
painting old
what the original one of the things about antique furniture, if you watch the Antique Roadshow or what have you, they always go, does it have the original patina on it? You got to keep in mind, like even the sideboard that is in my house here, that is from the 1820s, 1830s, that was refinished in the 1940s. Absolutely beautiful, but
like
it killed
First
the
Empire,
value. It does kill
right?
the value.
Like First Empire.
Yes, exactly. So that I truly believe, talking now from furniture from the 1920s and 30s
so the
that are going to
mahogany
be
furniture that somehow survived being painted.
yes.
Yeah, that's
People are
going
gonna
to
go
be the
after.
obscure stuff that you're not going to be able to find in abundance. because
Exactly, and that's what's gonna be worth money.
People look at all. I mean, honestly, I can't believe VHS now is making a major comeback. Why?
Yes.
Because people were throwing it in the trash.
Yep.
Nobody wants it. Crap, garbage.
Biggest.
And granted, it's not all great, but some things are becoming more sought after because, again,
Yeah.
people just got rid of it.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. And I think that you can't predict it and you can't figure it out.
You'll never be able to put your finger on it.
No, you never will.
You shouldn't ever buy to make money.
Exactly.
You should buy because you love it.
Because you love it.
That's what you're into. That's what you love. That's your passion. If you're buying to make money, I feel like it's not going to work out for you.
No, I don't disagree. I mean, even if you look around and you're looking behind us and looking at the collections I have and everything else, there was nothing there I bought as I thought of as an investment.
Right.
No.
I bought it because I loved it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? That's really the deal. I fell in love with it, and it brings me back to where we were. Whether it's a gaming wheel that's over there that we bought in Cape May, or the surfboard that's behind us is from the surfboard is beautiful. That's a local artist in Cape May, and it brings us back to Cape May when we were carrying it out, and everyone's
who would have
going, "Whoa, look at that thing!" You know?
Oh, I saw her in a store like 6 stores away. The sun hit it the right way, and I was like, "Oh, you will be mine."
And you know, it's funny. It is an investment right now because when we bought that originally, it was X amount, and when we went back the following year, they upped the price by $500. You know, so
Well, yeah. I mean,
it's going up in value.
I will say, when I saw
Yeah.
this and I saw what they were charging for it, I was like, "You are underselling yourself."
I agree.
100%.
No, it's
the only
a
thing to
beautiful
invest
piece.
in are like cards that are graded and stuff like that. Like that's like smart monetary decisions.
But that, you know, that's the
like
next-
going against history though, because really right now you could do that, but again, they are mass producing things too much.
And-
it's different than those 1940s and 50s graded cards that are still coming back in beautiful condition. Now
that's it.
people are opening their thing, running to, get them graded. Of course
Right.
they're coming back a gem mint. There's going to be a million gem mints. It's not going to hold the value of the true original.
I think it's the things that you dismiss.
Yep.
and it always comes down to supply and demand,
Supply and
that's
demand.
it. It is, who's to say? People buy back their memories. Like I
People
know
always buy nostalgia.
a certain person that loves Ghostbusters, and Ghostbusters.
The side eye, I swear I could hear it.
But Ghostbusters stuff does really well.
It is. It's hot, man.
It was a little movie
Yep.
that, blew up.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, you're buying back your memories because you remember as a kid.
the Stay
This
Puft
brought
Marshmallow
me-
Man going down. I love it.
It brought me so much joy.
Absolutely.
That thing, like, everybody has their favorite movie, like
I am the keymaster. I am the gatekeeper. Yeah.
There is no God, only Zool.
Only Zoo. What a great movie, though. That's a
it's a good
fantastic
time.
movie. Yeah.
But I mean, you think about, like, we sold that Stay Puft. I don't think we took it out of the box because it was still sealed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And what did that end up going
550,
for?
I think.
550?
550,
Yeah.
575 for a Stay
Yep.
Puft. Yeah.
And that was like a modern one too. That wasn't even 1980s.
Right, it wasn't-
that
right.
that was actually
It's
like
just a-
Sideshow.
a statue.
Yeah, like a sideshow
exactly. Like, that was
collectibles
just
type thing.
Regular.
It's
And I think too, like you were going back to comics and baseball cards and stuff. Really, if you look at the younger generation, they're into Bitcoin, they're into the things.
Right.
The older generation, they traded commodities like art. You know, they went to an auction gallery, they spent money. Let's spend $20,000 on a Picasso and $30,000. Now this next generation's buying, okay, let's buy a Michael Jordan rookie basketball card and spend 10 grand.
Right.
And they're kind of controlling that market of moving it around and keeping it
Exactly.
at a certain price. So I don't think that stuff will ever dip unless the rich really want to turn it around and cash back in their money. But I think that's what the next generation is looking at. But I agree with what everybody said here. It's the things we're not even thinking of.
Yep. It's the
No,
it's
you
the
have
stuff
no
you
idea.
dismiss.
Exactly. It's going to be the microphone you're holding.
I love this microphone.
Exactly.
For sure.
I mean, when you think about it, like when Hocus Pocus came out, it bombed.
Yeah, it's another one.
It bombed.
True.
And now, oh my God.
What's Hocus Pocus? I'm just kidding.
It's a Disney thing. How is that possible?
I
Hocus
just had
Pocus.
to kid.
You know, we encountered. I don't know how much I want to put this up, but somebody in that movie actually placed a bid at our auction.
Yes, they did. I know.
When?
Bette Midler, if you're
so-
watching, I love you.
So we were selling the right to push the button to demolish
Implode Trump Plaza.
Trump Plaza.
Good for her.
And
Yeah.
Good for her.
and she was the high bidder before we had to take it down. We had to take that sale down because
cease and desist letters.
Yeah, from Mr. Icon there. Yes,
But whatever.
but that was okay. To me, it was just an honor to have Bette
It was
Midler
so cool.
bid.
Listen, Bette Midler tweeted about me.
Yes,
I can die.
I agree.
I'm good.
Wow.
Yeah.
She said, sorry to her daughter. I'm going to expend your inheritance. Mommy's got an itchy trigger finger.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. She did tweet about that. That
Yeah,
was,
it was
I mean,
like,
what a
sometimes
great
you gotta-
experience that was.
People out there, sometimes you got to pull trig. Don't be afraid.
But
love her.
What we know what was great about that? We put that auction up and it went trending, and literally the late night shows,
Jimmy Fallon,
Jimmy
Kimmel.
Kimmel.
Oh, that's cool.
They all talked
We're all talking
about
about
Yep.
it.
the pushing of the button in the auction. I was this close to them mentioning Bodnar. They didn't mention Bodnars, but I was still a part of it. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. It was run through it.
We're always
We
one
were-
step to there.
You
You
were
know what I'm
there. You
saying?
were there by proxy.
We were. That was like almost there. Almost there. Like
We
Star
were
Wars.
News 12
almost there.
celebrities.
Stay on
okay,
target.
Joe, we got our time.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yes, this is true.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No facts.
We were
Exactly.
definitely celebrities.
You know
Don't
what?
worry
You know
about
what's
it.
funny? No, I guess I take some of that for granted, but I start thinking about the different people that I've intertwined in my life. It's quite interesting, actually, how many different celebrities and things and different people we've actually dealt with either selling their stuff or doing some kind of charity event or whatever. It's really amazing. I take it for granted, I guess. I
still wanna meet
I don't look at it as, oh, I did these things, and then I sit back sometimes and go, wow. Look at
Yeah,
all these
that was
different things
cool.
we've done over the past 30 years. It's crazy, you know?
Yep.
So there you have it. But
There you have it.
that's what's coming up in the upcoming sales. That's really the gig. All right. I would one segment I'd like to do for the podcast, and then I think we'll almost there. I would like to reach out to any of the listeners out there, and if you have a story about something you bought and made a ton of money on, or something like that, it could be beyond the gavel segment, and you could talk about maybe how much you made on it, or something you bought and nobody else knew what it was, and you want us to talk about it and bring it up,
Or a funny story.
Yeah, or a funny story or something like that. Make sure you contact us in and send it out. I know a story for myself on before I was even in the auction, I used to go to yard sales. So when I was working for an auction house when I was 17, 18, that's what got me in. And I started my own auction when I was 21, I think is the first time I ran an auction all by myself. But prior to that, I was auctioneering for people, and I went to a yard sale on this snowy morning. Nobody went, and I went in. I was like 18 years old, and they had these pair of beautiful bronze candelabras with this devil goddess head Medusa looking thing in the middle, right? And I was like, oh man, how much are they? And they're like $15. Like, oh, okay, good. I give them $15, and I consigned them to the auction that I was working for, and they brought like $5,000, and I was like, oh my God.
You were hooked.
Yeah, I was hooked. That was it. I was hooked. I was like,
Done.
holy smokes. Where can you guy $15? And not even that.
Sure.
When it was selling, and they're going, $1,000, I'm going to buy $1,500, going to buy $1,600, $1,700, $1,800. I'm like, oh my God.
It. Yeah.
It was so great. And $5,000. And that got me hooked onto the auction. And come to find out, the guy who bought them, which would be Bobby Selman, actually bought them. You guys all know who Bobby Selman is. They run another auction company. He sold them years later for like $15,000. So he made money. He made money.
Everybody
Everybody
on
made
this.
money. Eventually, someone loses money, and then it goes back the cycle.
Yeah,
But
everybody wants their cut.
But that was like my oh shit moment, of I'm really into business, and that's one story of many that I will give you.
Yeah.
Coming next time on the podcast, we'll give you the next story, maybe of losing money. I can't tell you how many times I've lost money.
Maybe we'll stay away from that topic.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, 5,000 in, 30,000 loss. 10,000 win, 50,000 loss. Oh shit.
Sounds like my Atlantic City trip, Joe.
Gotta like go to Atlantic City.
That's exactly it.
Literally.
Sounds like an Atlantic City trip right there. Okay?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm ready. Company trip down to AC.
Sounds good to
do
me.
it.
Sounds good to me. What's your biggest score? Do you remember? You had to make something on something.
I made a lot of money on a lot of things.
Exactly.
That's the
what I
thing.
hear.
I'm trying to. Can I go like pre-auction and then think about a good auction?
Yeah,
one?
that's fine.
What got me into it? So this is the reason I got addicted, and I was like, I'm really good at this. Again, I used to do a lot of video games. That was like my jam. Mega nerd. Every system, every game, whatever. So I was at a yard sale. And a mom was there and she was cleaning her son's room. He went to college and he didn't clean his room and she got ticked off at him. So all his stuff went on the yard. So in this box it's a PlayStation 1. Then there was Misadventures of Tronbon, sealed. There was Metroid, and I'm just like, oh my God. I'm dead. I'm sitting there like my heart is going through my chest. And I'm like, excuse me, how much for this entire thing? She goes, I don't know, take $10. And I'm like, what? I threw the money. I ran with this bundle of stuff to my car.
I can picture this too.
Fast.
Yeah.
I made the most ridiculous amount of money. I can't even tell you. Like probably off this little box of stuff, about $10,000 on some of these sealed, rare, dope video games, especially when that video game market was like smoking hot. So from then on, I think I went to every auction. I went to every yard sale. I had the bug, like literally. Yeah. So that was my like first into the world. Like I have an eye for this. I can do it.
Right. And you don't really buy and sell, do you? Or
I do.
Oh, okay. So I'd like to hear your story.
I'm a man of many skills. So I think one of my earliest was, like I said, I'm fairly new to the auction industry, but I'm not new to the antiques world in person, thrifting, buying secondhand. So I think it was a pair of parlor chairs. They looked to be mahogany. They had some really nice scroll work inlay with mother of pearl discs.
Oh, nice.
In there. And there was a pair. They had pink velvet cushions. I just bought them because they were nice. I hated the cushions. And then they just kind of like sat in my room for, maybe a few years. But I remember when I had bought them, funny enough, there was a woman who had wanted to buy them. And she had handed me her name and number. And she was like, if you ever want to sell these, let me know. So I think I paid maybe like $60 per chair, so $120. And then I found her number while cleaning one day and I called her and I was like, this may be weird, but I still have these chairs. And I remember you mentioning that you would be interested in them. And she was like, oh my God, yes, I remember. I was aiming for around $450, $400, but I think I ended up selling them for about like $350.
Okay.
So
not like a crazy uptick,
but you made money.
But you made money. There was still a turnover.
You know what the killer about Victorian is? It looks so beautiful, but it hurts like a bitch to sit in.
Well, part of that was purposeful. Part of that was purposeful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially some of the nicer pieces would usually be in a drawing room or a front parlor.
Right.
So a traditional visit for people was genuinely only 15 to 30 minutes.
Right.
Was standard.
Yeah.
So they wanted to be pretty, not comfortable.
Got it. And what would be I know what your story would be on maybe the best thing you ever handled or touched.
Oh, God.
I know what it is.
I know what it is, too.
We all know what it is.
Yeah, we all know what it is. Many years ago, we had a friend, Joe and I had a friend that worked in the office, and he unfortunately passed away.
Yep.
He had no family.
Yep.
The state came in.
Well, he had us as a family, but go ahead.
Yes, but he had no living
Yes.
relatives, like actual blood, except for an aunt who was 90 something at the time.
Yep.
Gotcha.
And so the state came in and to handle his estate, and I preemptively sent them a letter and said, please God, don't throw anything out in his house. Didn't know everything he had, knew he had a few things that he'd shown me over the years, like a Civil War presentation sword. And I mean, he was so serious about it, right? When he came over to show, I remember we sat in this room. And worked on many a Civil War collection, together. And he brought it over once to show it to me wearing white gloves.
Yes,
I mean,
he wore white gloves.
Super serious about the stuff. He told me about Civil War flag he had, in his house. So I said to them, please don't throw things out in this house. If it's not me, let someone come in and take out. So we got a call from that attorney and she said, here's the keys. I don't want to go in. And I said, why? And I'd never been in his house before. He was a hoarder.
Another hoard.
Poor Bill
was
a hoarder. And it initially looks like, oh my God, why does, he's got piles of newspaper or something. He's got all these, you couldn't even walk in his house until I picked up the first thing and realized oh, this is not newspapers. This is a document from the French and Indian War. Oh my God. And he hoarded historical items.
It was a lot of good things. A lot of good things.
Oh, a lot of good things. He had the Civil War uniform with the drum set to go along with the.
Oh, wow.
You know,
The provenance, everything.
We have a 5-hour
Everything.
podcast about his collection. I mean, it was
he
fantastic.
had a New
Right.
Brunswick desk, like with the label still on it on the maker that brought what $13,000.
Yeah, it was like 13, 15,000.
Wow.
But so in our where we're working now, when it was just storage, there's a hole upstairs. I cleared it out, and I put his whole collection up there, and I started going through it. And I was working alone, and I'm just sorting, just doing a rough sort, Revolutionary War to Civil War to this to that, and I pick up this Riker mount, and it has all these little things in it, and a little piece of paper, little square, like the size of a Post-it note. And I said, okay, you go over there, you're Civil War. And then all of a sudden my brain went, stop. Was that signature what I think it just was? And I turned around and I snatched it back up and I looked, and on the top of the paper was handwritten, the White House. And there was a note, and the bottom was signed A. Lincoln. And I was like, stop it, stop
No
it, stop
way.
it, stop it.
That's
hello,
crazy.
hello. And I'm literally running around, and I'm like, there's no one here to share this with. I need a friend.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I'm trying to call him. I'm like, you're never gonna
From the Emancipation Sister Mister himself.
I need-
Oh,
For me,
we've all heard the tales. You know they're true.
for me as a historian, like that was
And it was
my again, all kinds of people who love all different areas and time periods in history and everything. For me, that Civil War era is it. And that's where my studies were. That's where everything. And so for me, I was like, oh my God. I mean, and I had already gone through letters during the war written at this particular battlefield by Grant, by Sherman, by, all of these people. And I was like, and it just kept building. And then I finally saw it and I was like, I can't handle the amount of amazingness that is happening right now. Like
Sometimes it can be too much.
it was too much. It was too much. And I wish I had Bill's collection to do all over again, because I would relish in it just a little bit longer.
That's the tough part. Yeah.
Oh, there's always something you think nothing's going to top
You
it,
gotta
and then
spend more- you
something
wanna spend
else
more time
tops
with it,
it.
but you gotta move it.
But that
Yeah.
Abraham Lincoln, what was cool about that? It actually talked about this boy. He wanted to be with his brother, and he came into the White House at age 13 and asked to be transferred. Right?
So yes, he had signed up. Was not 18. He was 13, and he was a drummer in a unit. But he signed up thinking he was going to be in the same unit as his brother, and he wasn't. They were separated. So he was supposed to be in DC before they, went off to where they're going, and he was supposed to be going into town to get shoes, but he lied, and instead he went into town. And this is back at those times when you could just walk in the White House.
Yep.
You
Imagine
could
that. You can't even
just
imagine
Oh my
that.
God.
Yeah.
walk in.
That level of pomp and circumstance to just think that you're fine.
No, at that time, you basically, the hallways were lined with people waiting to talk to the president, just waiting. And he walked in, and and because his whole backstory is actually written out, like there's his family, did his whole backstory. And he said he walked in and he walked through this office and that office and through the kitchen area and everything until he finally stumbled upon Lincoln. Yep. Just walked up to him and said,
How in the hell? That's wild.
isn't it? I said, I want to be transferred to my brother. So the note said, please transfer the name of the soldier from this unit to this unit so he may be with his brother. But funny enough, they never transferred him.
No.
So even then, they were like, oh, the president said so.
Even
I don't
then,
care.
The bureaucracy wins.
don't
Yeah, I guess so.
He's saying here, but he was never
$8,500.
transferred.
That brought
But he's-
8,500. I
but-
believe. Yeah.
Sad.
He and his brother both survived the war.
Oh, good for them. They made it through in
They
the end.
both
I like
survived
that.
the war. And yeah, so with the letter, we had a lot of provenance, photos of him and his brother and their families.
It was really
long
cool.
after
It
the
was
war
cool.
at the monuments for the regiments. that
Do you
they
know,
were
Danny,
in.
that sale made me wear a suit. Like it was
Really?
serious, like full on suit.
Wow, we had great. That was a great.
That
sale,
was an
man.
amazing
sounds awesome.
sale.
Oh,
Like,
that was such a phenomenal sale.
Serious time has come. Let's do this.
I'll never see anything like it.
Man. We'll
Yeah.
see another one. Keep my hands.
You
closed.
say that, but I
another
mean,
one will come.
when I tell you, you
it's a
couldn't-
once in a lifetime.
You couldn't walk
collection.
through his house.
No, you couldn't.
You couldn't get the door open.
You're literally tripping over history.
But you know what?
You are.
That was such a great sale because it was like 8,000, 10,000, 5,000, 20,000, 6,000,
but you-
5,000.
do you know what the best part of it
6,000.
was?
It was so good.
I could hear Bill in the back of my head the entire time going, "That was too cheap."
Yeah, he would
You
be
sold
saying
that
that. He
too
would
cheap.
say that.
That's so funny.
He would, man.
That's
He
funny.
would have. He would have been saying we're selling it for nothing. He would
But
have been saying
I
that.
said it back then, and I'll say it again. To this day, I'd still rather have Bill.
Yes,
That's valid.
I
That's
agree.
sweet.
Yeah,
That's
no,
sweet.
he was a good
He was a
man.
fun guy.
Now, would
He
you
was a fun
say
guy.
that the better collections, in a sense, sell themselves because the collectors already are established and usually know what's out there?
100%.
Properly advertised, yes.
Okay.
Yes, properly
Yes.
advertised.
Yes,
You have to
Put yourself out
advertise.
there.
It needs
Yeah.
to be promoted right. As long as it's promoted correctly, yes,
Yeah.
it will sell
Okay.
itself. I don't disagree.
Yeah, and I mean those who collect, like for myself, you collect certain things like Civil War. We have coming up in one of our historical sales a letter that was written home from a member of the ambulance corps, which anybody who sees this knows super rare. You don't see it every day because it wasn't a thing when the war started. There was no ambulance, let
Gotcha.
alone an ambulance corps.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like before that, you were just okay. There you are. Bye. And then it became a thing where they would bring the wagons onto the field and take them off and all of this. So I saw that when we were in a house recently, and I was like, yes.
That's coming up February, ladies and gentlemen. February 2025. But yes. No, but if you have a story like that, we want to hear that. We want to share it here on the podcast. And that's really what we're looking for. I hope you enjoyed it. I had a great time. Did you have a great time?
I had a great time.
You guys have a great time?
This inaugural podcast.
Inaugural, yes.
Yes, it's a
It
pleasure to
was
be included. Yeah.
amazing.
It was amazing. It was great talking. I love it. Sometimes we're so involved with our work,
are.
and we do have lunch and chill, and then I'm all crazy all day long. But it's nice to sit down in
We're
the
all
house
crazy all day long.
and,
Crazy all
and,
day long.
and talk like this, and it was a really great time. All right.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for joining us. Till next time, ladies and gentlemen, have yourselves a wonderful day. Hey, Joe Bodnar here. Thanks for watching the show. Hope you enjoyed that show. We'll be watching every single month here at bodnarsauction.com, or to follow us at bodnarsauction.com on Facebook, Instagram, or check us out at bodnarsauction.com. Thanks for joining us. See you next time on the podcast.